The Multipod podcast brings multi-potentialites together to discover common interests, projects, and offers in a spirit of community and collaboration. Join me, Ted Craig, as I feature guests from around the world here to share their stories and find meaningful connections. Your call to action? Reach out to them after this episode and say hello. Multi-potentialites live unconventional lives by instinct and by design. The Multipod is here to empower you in living life on your terms. Welcome. Today's episode features Charlotte Petit Noble. Charlotte and I were connected earlier this year, 2025, by our mutual friend Ryan Sina, who was a guest on the Multipod back in 2022. That was episode 86, January 2022 with Ryan. Hopefully you'll hear from him again because I've invited him back to get an update on his story. And you may hear from him as well because he may be sending more people my way here on the Multipod. So Charlotte was one of those people. And the initial connection was about podcasting for sure. She's been a podcaster herself. She may certainly get back into it again. And also entrepreneurship and, of course, how we weave all those stories and choices and commitments into our busy lives as parents and self-employed entrepreneurs figuring out our way through. So this is essentially what our conversation coming up here revolves around, the various choices she's made. She's had more than just one business for sure in true multi-potentialite fashion. She's tried a number of different things from marketing to hairstyling, and most recently, the last 2 or 3 years now, she's become essentially a coach or a guide for breastfeeding mothers because she's been one herself. She now has 2 young children, and that kind of triggered the idea, well, you know, the things she was learning about how to do it and to do it well and in a healthy and sustainable way that was very grounding for the mother as much as for the child, of course. And as she was learning those things, she thought, well, why not share this information, of course, with other mothers and, some different information that, of course, she might get from the more kind of mainstream type commercialized entities that are out there. So that's how she's made a connection with a lot of people. As you'll hear, she started an Instagram account with various videos and things that she's learned and quickly gained quite a number of followers. So what's interesting now, though, is that it's been, a couple of years at least that she's been doing this, and she's very much at that crossroads, or what should she do next? Because is this something she wants to keep doing? How do we make that commitment as a multi-potentialite? And of course, like so many of us, she has that history of trying things. Yeah, then you aren't ready for something else. You want to do something different. Is she going to make that choice again? Well, maybe. We'll see what happens, not just in our conversation, but for sure in the weeks and months to follow. So if you're listening to this or watching this episode, maybe months or year or two from now, absolutely reach out to Charlotte and see what she's up to. She may be doing the same thing. There may be some kind of variation to that same thing, or she may be doing something completely different. But I'd be curious to find out where she'll be at that time. So in the meantime, if you are watching this episode as it comes out here, and what she has to say speaks to you, especially mothers for sure, but there's also some coaching, some life coaching and other things that she gets into as well. She's wonderful to talk to, very personable, very, very engaging. I really enjoyed our conversation. We got into some good, deep kind of questions and philosophies here, and she would love to connect. So the contact info will be there at the end of the episode. Of course, it's in the episode description here too. But now let's welcome Charlotte Petit Noble onto the Multipod for the first time with a little bit of Francais added in as well. Welcome back to the Multipod, where listeners reach out to guests and new connections are made. I'm your host, Ted Craig, and joining me today is my special guest, Charlotte Petit Noble. Bonjour Charlotte, comment ça va? How are you?
Très bien, merci. I didn't remember you speak French, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do that in French. That would be entertaining for the listener, right?
We could, yeah. It'll stretch my vocabulary un petit peu, but it would be fun. But that's part of it, is that, we're here to get to know your story and where you're from. And of course, your roots do bring you back to France. So tell us a bit about And I should say right now though, you're in California, right? Around Los Angeles?
I am in California, about 20 minutes from Los Angeles. So yeah,
Hmm.
Southern California. It's very sunny today. We are going into summer strongly, which is
Nice.
exactly what I am here for.
Yeah.
I used to live in Paris just for 4 years because my origin are from the French Riviera, so
Hmm.
southern France,
Nice.
where it's nice as well. The weather is cool. It's just like sunny most of the time. And then I made the choice to go to Paris, right? Because in southern France there were not that much opportunities to work in marketing and communication.
Hmm.
So I went to Paris for 4 years, and it was the worst years of my life in terms of the weather.
Hmm.
So me being in California, Southern California, is a very intentional and mindful choice
Okay.
because weather, yeah, don't go very well with my mood.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been to Paris more often than not in the winter, and it's still a beautiful city, but it's pretty cloudy and rainy and a little dreary.
Paris is awesome. Like I love
Yeah.
going back to Paris for vacation.
Hmm.
Now that I'm not a student anymore, now that I have more money as well, that I can enjoy the city without the pain of it. Because
Yeah.
when you live there, it's really like it becomes a routine, and the weather is literally not helping you to
Hmm.
just uplift the collective mood in
Yeah.
Paris, if I may say. I still love
Yeah.
the city though.
Oh yeah, for sure. So how long have you been in California then?
It's been my 16th year
Wow.
now. So I started my career in Paris in the fashion industry, and then my husband got a massive opportunity to come to Los Angeles. He's working in the movie industry.
Okay.
And I didn't speak English at that time. And I was like, that
Oh,
sounds like a lovely project for a multi potentialite, right? I'm going to learn English now.
right.
And so I went, like, I didn't ask myself twice. I was just like, yes, I'm in, let's do it. So I came to Los Angeles 15, 16 years ago. And I took intensive English classes for 10 months, knowing that
Hmm.
I was not able to speak a word in English, not understand anything.
Wow.
And it worked pretty well. The goal at that time was to learn English, then get a job in marketing, climb the ladder of
Hmm.
corporation, and yeah, build a life out of that.
Hmm.
Well, I may say that the universe, or maybe my potentialites potential, didn't have the same plan.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing a lot of different things. So I started, of course, with what I knew the best, so social media, marketing, and all those things. Then I went to create learning expedition in San Francisco for French people,
Hmm.
working with other founders with me.
Hmm.
Then I stopped. I went back to marketing and online marketing, which I guess it's my true love, professional love, I would say.
Hmm.
Something that I'm deeply interested in because it's ever evolving. So I'm never bored of learning new things.
Yeah, interesting.
And
Huh.
I somehow got bored, so I decided to go back to school, and I learned how to dress and cut and hair and do makeup and all those things. So I
Oh,
went
wow.
to beauty school, became a licensed hairstylist here in California.
Hmm.
During those 2 years where I was a hairstylist, I was behind the chair building a clientele. I became a hair educator as well. So I was educating people. I became a wig creator as well, very creative wigs. I
Wow.
did contests, I did fashion shows, photo shoots within just 2 years. And so
Yeah.
after 2 years, guess what? I
Oh
got bored
no.
again. And I was like, okay, maybe I've seen everything that I wanted to see.
Hmm.
Not that there were nothing else to see. I think it's a wonderful path, and there's so much creativity, and I probably could have, gone for longer. But I
Yeah.
got pregnant at that time. The
Hmm.
salon where I was working was an hour and a half from where I live, so it was 3 hours commitment every day,
Yeah.
which was a lot when you're like that big pregnant.
Hmm.
And so when my first child was born, when you become a mother, a lot of other things you want to become at the same time, and you are so creative at that point. And I started a podcast and a blog called How Moms Make Money Online. It was pretty decent. I did interviews with a lot of different moms. I really loved that, but I became frustrated because I wasn't making any money out of that. Not that I necessarily needed the money, but I wanted the recognition and the compensation for my time. And from doing my podcast and blog, I wasn't compensated. I didn't find a way to monetize it,
Right.
which was very hard for me to admit because I like to do things that are very productive and I like to make money doing what I love, right?
Sure.
Didn't work that way, but of course, I had another idea that came right on time. And I launched a group coaching at that time to help coaches, new coaches, especially moms who wanted to launch a coaching business and helping other moms to create, launch, and monetize their first group coaching.
Okay.
And I went with that program for 2 years, and then I decided to tweak it a little bit so it became a little bit more spiritual. Well, there was still like the very practical component of doing business online, but I had it my life lesson to it because I'm highly passionate, and that is, I guess, my true the thing that I've always done. I'm a manifester. I'm truly passionate about manifestation, universal laws, spirituality, and I kind of blend that into everything that I do. That actually my signature. So after I launched that course for a few time, I decided to integrate my life lesson into it to really help people to have a more aligned business
Yeah, that's great.
online. And I had a lot of fun. And I became pregnant again.
Yeah. So what years are we talking here at this point?
So that was up until 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's fairly recent.
So I was a hairstylist between 2017, 2019, more or less. And then 2019 to 2023, business coaching, online business coaching, and sparkling that with the magic of life. So it would be like even more potent in terms of the content. And I'm a magic being. I think we're all magic in some ways, and I like to sparkle my life and other people's life with magic. So that's what I love doing. So I guess that was the right, way to bring everything together. And I became pregnant again, and that baby was kind of the tipping point of my manifestation skills because I tried for 2 years with fertility treatment to manifest that baby.
Okay, interesting.
Very interesting story. And the day I decided to energetically break up with the idea of a second child, and I was done with the treatment, I was like, I'm not putting any more drugs into my body.
Yeah.
And I literally was crying and say to the spirit of the baby, I guess, I want you, but I don't need you. You're a bonus in my life. I already have one child. He's healthy. I'm a mom. If you want to join the party, oh my God, you're going to be the happiest baby on earth. I promise. I stopped the treatment. 15 days after, I was pregnant.
Wow.
With no treatment. My husband was traveling at that time, and it just happened. And that baby changed everything that I wanted to do. So he was born a month early on a very specific date because his birth date is 12/31/23, which is 123, 123.
Right. Honey.
It's a magical number. And I guess it was also the year, I love everything that's, astrology, numerology, all those super cool stuff. And that when it was born, 2024 was year one in my numerology. So it's when you start new things. Yeah. And I just felt so driven to start something new. And I decided to dive deeper into breastfeeding.
Oh yeah.
So I decided to take a certification to become a breastfeeding specialist, certified breastfeeding
Hmm.
specialist, which I did in 2024.
Hmm.
And I launched a Instagram account. It picked up very well. Grew that account from zero to now 4,000 and something, like in less than
Yeah,
a year, which is
that's
really
right.
decent. Can I be like better and bigger? Absolutely, but like
That's a great
from
start.
nothing, like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like having new followers every single day, up to 20 every single day. It's just like wow,
Hmm.
like something must be right. And also, launching a freebie and having those 300 people like in a week getting in my email list, I was like, okay, I'm onto something.
Hmm.
And when I kept diving into breastfeeding, the breastfeeding industry and what was out there, I felt limited. And I felt like everyone is saying the same thing, like pump, like
Oh
X
yeah.
time a day, remove breast milk every 2 hours. And
Hmm.
I still get those emails and those DMs where it's not working for women.
Hmm.
And I was very frustrated. So it was very difficult at the end of 2024 for me to keep going with that business. And I think it's related to what we're going to talk.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But something happened, and I remember that my magic was in blending spirituality and life lesson and what's going on internally to create the reality that we want. And I'm like, well, if it's working
Hmm.
for everything else, it should be working for breastfeeding. So I started to study how the change from the inside out, so your mind, your body, how to support your nervous system will
Hmm.
actually boost your milk production and increase your milk supply.
Hmm.
So on last March, I launched a beta test program with 5 modules, really based on changing your internal so that you take the intentional action and implement the right strategy for you that not only increase your breast milk, but also supports yourself, your baby, and your body to
Hmm.
give you even more. It's literally fill up your cup first, prioritize yourself first so that you
Right.
can give and provide then. And so far, so good. All my testers have got to the point where their milk supplies has increased. Some of them are ditched the formula completely. They
Okay.
feel more relaxed. It's easier on them, and they get to finally enjoy breastfeeding.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
right now, it's what I'm playing with. So I have that, online marketing business practical thing that I get to use, that
Hmm.
I get to love, and that I don't need to use all the time because that's not the main purpose anymore. I have that,
Yeah.
spirituality inside the business that I bring and that enrich my content every time I create a new lesson. And
Hmm.
finally, I have that very needed supports because guess what? Breastfeeding mom, they are the women they need the most supports and they
Hmm.
don't ask for that supports. So it feels like right now, um, it's very it's very there is a lot of variety in my business, which is great.
Yeah.
But I always I have to be honest with that, I always ask myself, is it going to be enough? Like, is it like me focusing on breastfeeding even though I
Hmm.
bring all those other parts? Am I getting bored? And I have to say that sometimes I'm like, I'm done, let's start something else.
Uh-huh.
But I know better.
Okay, that's interesting. Uh-huh. Because you've learned
I
from
know
the other
better.
examples. Yeah.
Yes, I
Hmm.
know that we are beings and we live through cycles
Hmm.
and we have our seasons. And just like nature, as there's spring, summer, fall, and winter, we as human have the same. It doesn't necessarily follow the rhythm of nature, it follows your own rhythm, but we do have cycles. And it's super important to honor them so that you can move the needle forward and stop just launching project. Because I'm really
Hmm.
good at launching projects,
Right.
way less at running the project. And I guess last year I became very frustrated with myself, saying like, you're starting business, you know how to start businesses, right? But do you know how to run businesses?
Yeah, because
And
that's
the
different.
answer was
Yeah.
like, yeah, was no. Like, I've never run a business. I've always launched businesses. And I was very happy until that hit me when, you know, you are in that cycle
Hmm.
and it's fun to launch and the excitement and stuff. But I guess I'm in a season of my life. So the bigger season, because we have like so many seasons. We have the yearly season, the daily season, the weekly season,
Yeah.
all of
And
that
overlap.
happen
Yeah.
like all the time. And we also have like the lifetime season. And I guess right now I'm in a season where I want to settle a little and just
Okay.
run the freaking business for once.
But that feels good to have that realization, that to make that commitment in this
Yes,
moment. Yeah. So that's a change in itself, is the nature of committing. How do you even commit to commitments? That's evolving in your experience.
exactly. And that's why like the key here is to be super duper honest and bring as many areas of your life into the question and the equation so that you can actually make a choice that is not just the child part of you who wants to
Hmm.
just be excited about a project and literally like a child or like a Gemini. If you know astrology, you
Hmm.
have interest on something and then it drops to like the lower level. So it's really like more of an intentional reflection when you got to be honest about the big picture. And that's why I was talking to you before about the big picture and remembering what is the big picture here. Is that running after that shiny new project, or is it at one point to find the magic in one specific thing, but bringing so much variety, so much variety that
Hmm.
you never get bored and it's always magical for you.
Do you feel then right now, we're chatting here, it's like spring 2025, and do you feel you're kind of at that tipping point where you're maybe just in the process of committing to something that's going to be longer? That, I mean, I know you've done things that lasted a couple of years, but maybe it's like mentally, psychologically, that you're ready to make that longer commitment now, which may go however long it lasts, but at least you're open to that.
Exactly. And you know what's different this time is
Mm.
that if we had, I would say, that call together a month ago,
Oh yeah,
I was about to just like leave it and do something else. And and
really?
and we talk about that. I guess it was a month ago or maybe 2 months ago where I was like, I want to be a speaker. Like I think my
That's
experience,
right.
like
Yeah.
being, like here in Los Angeles, having done all those projects can really benefit the youth
Yeah.
and how we can help them not stay into one specific box and evolve. I still think that's something that I could do, but I don't think that's something that's going to replace what I'm
Mm.
doing right now. Whether 2 months ago I was like, yeah, let's replace the whole thing.
Mm.
And so really had to face that pattern. And as you said, I'm big on manifestation and I'm taking classes and I'm always like learning new things about my manifestation process. And it was really about like, okay, I see the patterns now. I
Yeah.
see it. I see it. And this time is different because I want to break the pattern. I
Hmm.
don't want to be like 2 years in my life from now and feel the same way.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that, but it's just like in my season of life, I want something different.
So, is it fair to say, though, that it could be the case, say 2 years from now or whenever this happens, that you may be ready to move on from this business and this whole idea, especially as your kids get older? That's part of it, right? Because you're breastfeeding yourself, you're living the thing that you're teaching, that you're talking about. So, as you move out of that season, and whenever that get to that point, how do you feel about that? There could come a day when you don't want to do this anymore, but will you feel at peace about that?
So there is something very funny about what you said. And for a long time, I was like, yeah, I'm breastfeeding. So that's why I'm doing that. And oh
Mm.
God, when I will stop breastfeeding, I'm just going to like stop wanting to do that.
Yeah.
And what's different this time is that I stopped breastfeeding
Okay.
about 2 weeks ago
Oh wow, good timing.
and I faced my fear. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
You're a retired breastfeeding mom. Can you still do that job? And the way I actually redesigned the idea behind breastfeeding by design has been really aligned with who I am. And it's possible that it will evolve with the mom, but the content, pretty much all the content that I'm creating right now is based on how to regulate your nervous system, how to really support your body so that your body can run life-sustaining functions. And so the breastfeeding strategies, they're still here inside the program, but they're not the main content. Okay. So it's really like taking the strategies and having them at your service, but from the perspective of the person you are. So that specific module can change. It can be like strategy to, I don't know, grow your hair. I don't know, but the rest won't change because it's universal.
Yeah.
And that's the difference with that business. Also, right now I'm running live, calls, but the structure of the course is really like to be a self-paced course where you don't necessarily need me. And the other day I had the idea that maybe when I'm less interested in doing those live calls, guess what? I can potentially hire volunteers or hire someone in each city, major city or major continent of the world to host those live calls so that those breastfeeding moms can still have that support. And I can be like the head of it and maybe give birth to little babies for women health, So everything is possible.
So like I hear an idea like that, and if I was to relate it to something in a similar scale, let's say that I had, and like, I don't know about you, but my first reaction is I'm excited. Yeah, I could do this and that, and it can grow and all this stuff. And then I recoil. And I'm like, do I want to make that big a commitment? Do I want to be that busy? Do I want to be that responsible, especially to other people if you're hiring staff or even volunteers, but and you're the boss and you got to be in charge and you can't just kind of switch off and say, no, I'm going to go do something else. Like you've made that commitment. How do you tackle that mentality?
It's funny. I think this goal is right on point and the perfect timing for me. So before you asked me to go on this call and today, there were a series of events that happened. And one of them was me reaching out for a mentor with Core LA, because you can get mentors. You don't choose your mentor. That's probably a curse and a blessing at the same time. And I got assigned with that mentor who had no idea about online businesses. So I don't even know why I've been assigned to her.
Interesting.
And so she asked me to do a business plan and to really lay down my vision for that business. And we got into I wouldn't say massive, but we got into an argument where she was telling me that my vision was not possible. And if you know me by now, you know how I love the magic of life. I'm like, no, you cannot tell me that. Yeah. Even though you don't trust and believe in the numbers that I am providing you. I mean, for 2025, 2026 was pretty accurate industry average. I know my numbers. But for 23, I went wild. I was like, I'm going to be able to reach out to that many women and whatever. And so she really I guess, pull every trigger of that idea that I had no other choice to commit.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that, and I also freed myself at the same time by saying it doesn't mean that it just need to stay just breastfeeding. It can evolve with breastfeeding and other babies next to it. Breastfeeding can fade or no, it doesn't matter. But what I truly know is that I have, for the past 15 years, I've been the same interest with what's going on inside and how you can create something from the inside that is actually aligned with you.
Hmm.
And that I'm not afraid of.
Right.
Because with that, I can always like bring everything together. Also, something that I had to look back to just, give myself evidence that I'm not going to stop working. Like, it's been 15 years that I am on my own
Hmm.
creating businesses, and I've never stopped once.
Mm.
And so, yes, I have those days where I'm like, oh my God, I want just to retire and do nothing. I have to tell you that it doesn't last, and good, because it gives me even more evidence that I'm not going to stop, like,
Yeah,
from one day to the other. So
that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to take a day off for a couple of weeks, I guess, but are you really going to stop working? Are you really going to stop being busy? Like, I think multi-potentialites, we like being busy. It's just choosing what we commit to and where we spend our time and having that kind of control. But we like doing things.
I absolutely agree with you. What I also know that is true, and I think I'm allowing more of that now, those moments of doubt or of like, I don't feel the sparkle anymore,
Mm.
I allow myself to go off track. And
Hmm.
so for, the months where I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, I allowed myself to create a new website with me being a speaker and really like kind of walk the scenario that, okay, what would it be if I just like let go of that business idea?
Yeah.
And so I played around that, and naturally, which I've never done before, I've never allowed myself to just like stop. It was just like one project to another one, to another one, to another one, never
Hmm.
allowing myself to do, okay, let's do that, but let's not have any expectations,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
the key to manifesting what you truly want in life, is that detachment. But when
Right.
you don't have that detachment, you keep going after project after project after project after project.
Hmm.
But if you give yourself that spaciousness to explore something and being like, whatever happened, happened,
Yeah.
it will be so fast for you to go back on what truly matter and truly is aligned with you.
Hmm.
And by the way, by just like being on another project for a couple of months or a month or whatever, the time for just your creative juice to just like leave your body,
Mm.
you will sparkle other idea that will benefit that other business. Because
Yep.
I promise, before I was playing with that other website and Charlotte Petit Noble as a brand,
Hmm.
I felt stuck in the breastfeeding business, and I felt I felt like an imposter even, because
Mm.
I just have 1 year of experience. I'm not necessarily taking private consultation, going to people, because my world is online. So I just have to find a way to create something that is sustainable and that doesn't need myself to go to someone, right? And
Sure.
so when you detach yourself and when you do something else, when you take your mind out of what is just in front of you, that's when it's fueled with other ideas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
It's
that
nice to take those
actually
breaks. Yeah.
exactly, and that actually rebuild the interest in the first initial idea of breastfeeding.
Okay. Yeah, because you kind of circle back to, the project you had and the thing you were immersed in for a while. You take that break. And when I say break, I think we're talking like it's a serious break. You go and do something completely different. You don't even think about that other thing. It's a full shift, and maybe it's maybe it's for a few hours, of course, maybe it's for a few weeks, but you get that break. And then you come back to the thing, and there's often triggers, right? Where it's like, oh, I remember why I was interested in that in the first place, and I put a lot of work into it, and I don't want to lose that, and I remember why I did that, and then you just have that, I guess, emotional kind of break that multi potentialites, we get so deep into our passions and our projects, right? It can feel kind of overwhelming and like almost like a burden. So we take a break, we do something else, and then there's a good chance you rediscover that thing. I was thinking about that this morning because, like, with this show now, and I'm really emphasizing connecting again the guests and the listeners. Well, what if a listener, reaches out to a guest a year or two from now about, and someone's listening to this episode, right? And they could reach out to you and want to follow up with you because of something they heard in our conversation today. And you could be like, well, it's nice to meet you, but I'm not doing that anymore. Or you might be like, well, it's nice to meet you. I haven't done that thing in like a year, but you know what? Because you're reaching out to me, maybe I'll go back to it. It kind of triggers that inspiration again. So it's the power of connection for sure. But it's that, I get multi-potentialized. We're able to like go back into things and projects and pick things up where we left off. I think is a good one of our good skills.
Yeah, and also what I found very true for me. So then it also depends on each individual because we are not designed the same way as human, but I am a manifesting generator. So when I have an idea, like I can tackle like a month's worth of work in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally I can like build a website in a day
Mm-hmm.
if my mind in there and if like I'm so focused on it. So the good thing with allowing that spaciousness is that once you're on the scene, you're going to be fast. And the good
Yeah.
thing is like if it's something that will stick around, well, you won't have that fast turnover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess the point and the key is to stay open, to absolutely not refrain yourself from those. And I know it's difficult because society and your husband or your spouse or
Mm.
your parents, your neighbors, your friends are like, uh-huh. But
What are
it's
they
just
doing now?
like, yeah, I know that spaciousness because if
Yeah.
it's something that's going to stick, it's going to stick. It's
Yeah.
meant to be. If it's not, it's going to turn around very fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. And I feel a lot of us. I know a lot of multi-potentialites. Of course, we have jobs. The whole Einstein job thing. You find something that works for you, make ends meet. But a lot of us, we change jobs a lot. We change careers. We're self-employed. We start different businesses, and you get to a point sooner or later where you just kind of accept that rhythm, as you say, the seasons to life, where the notion of you kind of let go of that notion of stability, which sounds great. It'd be great to have a regular paycheck, I guess, and year after year and steady jobs, etc. But you know, we can't make that kind of long commitment. We need to have the flexibility. We need to have the control, and so you kind of accept the changes and the lack of stability in a sense, but it gives us more freedom, more control. I think more happiness too. At the end of the day, we're happier doing things in the moment as a result.
Yeah, there are so many other ways, and that was part of my blocks, my limitation, mental limitation for a long time. But there are
Mm.
so many different ways to manifest money into your life.
Yeah.
And the source of money is not a company, it's not your spouse, it's just the source is the source. The source
Yeah.
of money is the source. The source of money is like the universe, God, whatever resonate with you.
Mhm.
It's just coming through that person or that company or whatever. But the money that you manifest in your life doesn't matter where it comes from.
Mhm.
You're just manifesting the money. And it's just like the compensation of all the work that you put out there. But one thing that I have worked on is that you must feel in peace with that idea that money is manifested through different revenue streams
Yes.
and not necessarily from what you are doing.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. And so you get used to that idea. Like, yeah, you get bits of money from here, from there. Maybe you do some seasonal job. Um, and I mean, I think a lot of us, I would think, we kind of learn how to manage our money and our expenses, maybe because I know I'll speak at least from my experience that I've never been one to just kind of spend frivolously or accumulate a lot of stuff, and not just because I don't want a lot of stuff, but I'm really careful how I spend my money because that's what gives me the time and therefore the flexibility. If I want to be self-employed and I don't have as many expenses, sure, but also just kind of habits and things that instinct to spend money, uh, that gives me that flexibility. So there's just a little bit less pressure to have to make a certain amount of money because I don't spend as much. And aside from necessities that we have in life, we don't have a TV here. We don't really we rarely go out for dinner or things like that because we're not really interested, and I'd rather save that money and put it towards travel or something else that's much more meaningful.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
the good thing is like you get to choose.
Yeah.
And I think the real freedom is when you have the choice.
Yeah. That's it. Okay, cool. So I want to make this a regular thing now with our show with the new multipod is really emphasizing how people can reach out and connect with you. So they've heard your story. I want to ask you one more thing actually before we get to that. The story you've told us today, let's say especially from the part of like moving to California and everything basically bringing it up to that day, is that a story that you tell frequently, in that and kind of in one go like that? The story of your life, the last 16 years, whatever?
That's something that I don't tell unless you ask me where I come
Sure.
from. I think my French accent always make people ask more questions. Where do
I
you come
suppose, yeah.
from? And so it comes naturally for me to explain. And then, I kind of like the storytelling and really like
Mm,
making sure that people get that anything is possible for them. So that's
mhm.
why I insist every time on the fact that I wasn't speaking English and,
Right.
all those things, because my goal by sharing that story is to inspire and to really like make people realize that the only limitation they have is in their head
Hmm.
and in their mind, and they can absolutely accomplish anything. And it's very funny because looking back at those 16 years, I see just magic and all, unfolding perfectly at the right timing. And just
Yeah.
like, I have no regrets going to become a hairstylist completely out of the blue.
Right.
Um, I gained so much knowledge and creativity, and it helped me build resilience as well to just go back and forth with different projects. So it's yeah, 16 years went by so fast.
Hmm.
I wouldn't change a thing, even though I, sometimes question and I'm like, what am I doing?
Sure. Well, but it's like, oh, I could have done this, could have done that, but then you wouldn't have done the thing that you did end up doing. So,
I
yeah,
wouldn't be the same person.
yeah, yeah. I was curious because I was listening and my sense was that you've told the story before. It sounded that way, which makes sense if people ask you about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've probably told that story before, but to be honest, it's been a long time since I've been on a podcast.
Okay.
So it's been a long time since I've
Yeah.
told that story.
Cool. Wow, that's what we're here for. Okay, so um, how can people reach out and find you? What's the first place you would refer people to? It could be Instagram, website, an email, whatever it
Yes.
is.
So first place is on Instagram. I am at breastfeeding by design on Instagram. I have a website, the same as well. This is more, for breastfeeding moms,
Hmm.
obviously. But otherwise, you can reach out to me by email for any other inquiries like online, marketing, business
Yeah.
coaching. If you want to talk about potentialites and like how to just bounce back when you have those deep feeling, because that's my specialty, that's my magic. I'm really passionate about the mind, the subconscious mind, what's going on internally, and how you can use what's
Mm-hmm.
going on internally to create something completely new that
Mm-hmm.
is aligned with you. So that's my specialty. If you want to talk about that anytime, please reach out
Yeah.
to me. And my email address for that is Charlotte, so my first name,
Mm-hmm.
at Charlotte Petit Noble, so my first name and two last name. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing you're going to put that into the show notes.
Oui.
.com.
Okay.
And by
Great.
the way, if you have any breastfeeding moms who wants to take my course,
Yes.
I'm happy to do like a 20% off
Okay.
for your listeners with the
Thanks.
code MultiTED.
Okay. I'll put that in the notes. And there'll be is how do you recruit people for that? Like, is there a direct link to where they sign up for the beta program? Is it open anytime or certain times?
Yeah, now they can sign up anytime, and
Okay.
I am going to place that code, that coupon code, like right away,
Hmm.
MultiTED, and I can send you the link because I cannot tell you the link right
Sure.
away because it's more complicated than it sounds.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll put in the notes. So easy to click on.
But you
Okay.
can find actually the sales page of that program on my website, breastfeedingbydesign.com. And on the menu at the top, there is increase your milk supply. And if you click on that, you are on the sales page. So,
Okay, great. Well, everyone listening, if any of this speaks to you, then your challenge is to reach out to Charlotte and say hello for one thing, but connect with her and follow up with the things that she's offering and the way she can help, and form those relationships. Really, part of this too is it's not just about getting customers and people to follow us and stuff, but it's for people to actually connect and communicate with each other. So even if it's just a quick email, a message, say, hi, I heard you on the Multipod. I enjoyed your conversation and I'd love to get in touch. And then our guests, like Charlotte, will get that and they'll respond. And so it becomes more than just kind of anonymous people listening and following and stuff, but there's actual people that are connecting with each other. That's what I really want to get out of this show. So listeners, the challenge is on you now.
thank you very much for having me.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been fun. It's really nice doing this. And we'll do it again. Puis prochaine fois, là, on va faire en français, bien sûr. Là, on va pratiquer. Puis on va faire peut-être d'autres épisodes là, en français ou d'autres langues, espagnol ou quelque chose aussi. Mais moi, je parle au moins, je parle français. Fait que je peux faire ça avec toi aussi.
Avec plaisir.
Excellent. Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
So, breastfeedingbydesign.com is the website. Same name, Breastfeeding by Design on Instagram. You'll find Charlotte in either place. She's very active on Instagram and some beautiful stuff there, some beautiful images and videos and how-to guides. It has a really warm and comforting kind of feel to her material, whether it's in Instagram or website and beyond. It's really nice stuff. So check it out. Again, especially if it speaks to you in the season of life that you're in right now, or just reach out to say hello. Like any multi-potentialite, Charlotte has lots of interests. If you want to talk entrepreneurship or podcasting for sure, or marketing, communications, French, si tu veux pratiquer ton français, if you like to practice your French, another option too. So for listeners and viewers of this podcast, if you want to contact Charlotte directly, again, the email, charlotte@charlottepetitnoble.com. We'll have that written out again in the description here. And that's kind of a secret way you can get around and access her directly, send her a message again, say hello, and tell her what you think. So thanks very much to Charlotte. Merci beaucoup for coming on the show here on the Multipod and sharing your story. It's very inspiring, that entrepreneurial journey that she's had. I know a lot of us have had as well, or we think about it. Often we're not sure what we're going to be getting into when we embark on our side hustles, or maybe even quitting the job and going all in. But it is definitely a journey, and it's all about embracing those twists and turns. She's done that very well. It's exciting to see how she's approached doing that journey and to see where she goes from here. So let's talk about our next episode. This is another connection, actually in a couple ways. There's a connection with our next guest to both Los Angeles, like Charlotte, and also French, because our next guest is Eric Larson, who has spent many years living in Los Angeles area and now lives pretty close to me, actually, in Montreal, in Quebec. So he's learning his French. His partner's from Montreal. That's what brought him there just in the past year. And we talk about parenting. We talk about that phase of life when your kids are getting older, they're moving out or about to, they're kind of late teens into their 20s, and that kind of phase as a father, in his case as a parent. And he was going through divorce as well over the last couple of years, and lots of big changes in his life, and has brought him to the place where he is right now. Eric is very much a philosopher, a deep thinker, a writer, an intellectual. He's a teacher and an educator, and of course all kinds of other interests as well. And it's great to hear him share what's brought him to where he's at right now and how he's interpreted that journey, which is very much still ongoing. Eric and I had the pleasure of meeting in person a few months ago in Montreal. I went into town for a day, and we biked around, explored the city, and it's always wonderful meeting people in person that you've met online and get to see them right in front of you. So we have that connection, and we share some of that with you in our next episode, which is coming up very soon. So again, thanks for joining us. It's great to be back, and we'll have lots more guests coming up for you soon. Thanks to my guests today for sharing their story and what they're up to. You can find all the links and resources that we talked about in the description for this episode. Really don't hesitate to reach out and make that contact. Now you know that they exist, they need to know that you're out there too. A simple email or message can suffice. Or send a more substantial message if there's something that really jumped out for you. The Multipod has a new website, themultipod.com. Here you'll find the archives of the podcast in its previous form, all 111 episodes, a number of bonus episodes, and our Everything Conference mini-series, as well as the new episodes and the resources therein as they are released. Over time, we'll build it out for the best searchability and referencing possible so you can easily find who you're looking for. But a nice spreadsheet will suffice for now. The website also has a new guest application form. Let us know what topic or topics you would like to connect with people about, and we will set up a recording. As a guest, this is your primary task. Come prepared. Like all podcasts, the Multipod will thrive thanks to sharing, reviews, subscribing, and commenting if you're on YouTube, and just generally getting the word out to multi-potentialites that this resource exists. So help us spread our reach and create more opportunities and exposure for everyone. You can reach me at themultipodcast@gmail.com. That's themultipodcast@gmail.com. Or again, the website is simply themultipod.com. New episodes will be out on the 1st and 15th of every month. Thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today, and we'll see you again soon.